MKMVA chairperson Maphatsoe has been elected president of the organisation unopposed. The organisation, which held its elective conference in Boksburg this weekend, resolved to amend its constitution, doing away with the term chairperson for its top post. The conference got off to a rocky start, with its then deputy and general secretary claiming that the conference was divisive and fraudulent. MKMVA Treasury General Desmond Royan has also retained his position.
As the newly elected president of MKMVA, together with the top officials and the whole NEC, I make a promise to all our members here that we will serve you and will always be available to hear your concerns and to take advice from you. We have a very good MKMVA constitution that will guide us in the execution of our duties. Radical socio-economic transformation must once and for all bring an end to the control of our economy by the white minority who have ceded democratic power at the ballot box, but continue to hold on to their control of the economy of our country. The most important input that we have received was in the form of the opening address of President Jacob Zuma. We know him as our commander and fearless revolutionary who fought for years in MK in exile and inside the underground in our country. And the apartheid regime trembled when hearing his name. For many decades, the enemies of our revolution have tried to kill him and destroy him and his work. They have failed dismally. It is clear to us that even today, those enemies are still trying to destroy our commander-in-chief.
Now joining me in studio is Carl Niehaus, MKMVA NEC member. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
And now, Maphatsoe has been elected as president of the MKVA. What was the need for MKMVA to amend the term chairperson in the constitution that they have and replace it with president?
Well, it is really just to bring it in line with all the other associations and all the other leagues that are part of the alliance structures of the African National Congress. You know, we have a president for the ANC Youth League, we've got a president for the ANC Women's League, and now we also have a president for MKMVA.
And the then Deputy and General Secretary claimed that the conference was divisive as well as fraudulent. What are the main allegations, and what do you think was their motive behind these claims?
Well, I don't think that conference was at all divisive. If we look at the number of delegates that were there, well represented through 9 provinces all over the country, and clearly the people who were there were concerned about South Africa, they were concerned about the kind of economic transformation that we need in South Africa, and they also very clearly addressed the issues and concerns for military veterans in South Africa, especially those from Umkhonto we Sizwe. So we did not keep ourselves busy with divisive talk. We did not keep on concentrating on what these gentlemen or anyone else was saying about the conference. Our belief right from the beginning was that this conference will prove itself on the basis of the work that we're going to do, the resolutions that we pass, and the manner in which we conduct ourselves as delegates at the conference. And there I think we've done excellently. We had a very good election for the new National Executive Committee. It was a proper democratic process, well managed, and I think we can be all proud of what we achieved in the last couple of days. MKMVA is strong, it is moving forward, it will address the issue of military veterans, many of the issues around social economic concerns, poverty amongst many of our cadres, problems of unemployment, housing, healthcare. These are critical issues. And it is a central part of what the constitution of MKMVA expects of us to address, and we will do that.
So meaning that unity was being addressed at the conference?
Unity was very important at this conference, right from the beginning. The first speech that was made in the opening was that of President Zuma. He made it very clear that we must work for economic transformation and for radical economic transformation. But he said, do it in the context of always understanding that the ANC and the leagues and associations with the ANC have to be united. He made a clarion call to us that we must engage with those who disagree with us. We must be prepared to deal with those issues. But the most important thing is that the constitutional structures of the African National Congress and of MKMVA has to be respected. In terms of the constitution of the ANC, MKMVA is the only association that is formally recognized. Now, for anyone else to try and bring another organization or another structure in is to try and move outside what the constitution of the ANC says. So we stated today very clearly also in the closing speech of our president, we are prepared to engage, but we will engage within the constitutional structures of the ANC and of MKMVA. Because I grew up in the African National Congress. I joined the ANC when I was 19. I'm now going for 58. So I've been in the ANC and with MK for 38 years. I've never seen a situation where you go outside the constitutional structures and attack your elected leaders. And I really want to make a call, if I can do that tonight, to those comrades who have tried to put themselves outside these structures to come back in. If there are disagreements, if there are arguments that we need to address, let us do so as disciplined members of the ANC and of MKMVA. Let us talk like comrades with each other who know the blood that was spilled for the liberation of this country, who know that division leads to weakness, who know that the radical economic transformation that we need in South Africa demands unity, and that white monopoly capital has always tried to divide us. It's very simple for them, divide and rule. We say, let's be united. Let's deal with our differences inside our organization. Let's understand the internal democracy of the ANC. And on that basis, let us move forward so that we can address the huge gap between rich and poor in this country, the massive poverty issue, the high unemployment, the violence against women and children. All of these are critical issues. Let us address them as a united organization, because only as we are united will we be strong enough to face the challenges that are so big and so daunting in South Africa. Our enemies want us to be divided. We have to be united. And that was also the message that President Zuma brought.
And now, talking about arguments that need to be addressed within the association, we know that there's also a clash with former senior leaders of the ANC, the ANC's Liberation Army, who called themselves the MK Council. Do you think that recent divisions among the ranks have been prompted due to the ANC succession ranks?
Well, I do not want to speculate what all the reasons are. But I think it is very important to understand that the only constitutional structure for Mkhonto Wesizwe military veterans in the context of the ANC and our associations and leagues is MKMVA. So the military council of MK National Council, or whatever it is called, has no constitutional standing. We hear that there are comrades who have issues. The comrades have got the right to raise those issues within the constitutional structures. And as I've said before, and I don't want to repeat myself again, the important thing is for them to accept our constitution, to accept internal democratic discipline, and then engage with us within the structure, which is constitutional, of MKMVA.
And now we know that the association has also been dodged by claims that the elective conference was attended by bogus members. Some too young belong to the Liberation Army. What's your response on this claim?
It's an old story that I hear all the time. Let me deal with it in two ways. The first one is the people who participated in this conference clearly had their various histories as members of the African National Congress as MKMVA. When you signed up and registered at the conference, you had to give your force number. So every single delegate that was eventually registered there are clearly MK veterans. But there's another issue which I'm becoming concerned about, and that is that we sometimes seem to extend insults to younger people. And we sometimes say that younger people can't defend also our revolution and our democracy. And I'm not saying that those younger people should be part of the official structures of MKMVA or should be part as delegates, because our constitution is clear who can be delegates. And it has to be those MKMVA veterans, and as I said, people who've got force numbers and who are properly registered. But let's think about our history. I joined the ANC when I was 19 years old. We had young people, much younger than me, who was part of the African National Congress's liberation struggle. People who were doing reconnaissance, some young people immensely courageous, who were carrying arms, who were bringing in limpet mines, who were helping us with the whole military operation inside the country. We must be careful to go and insult young people. We mustn't do that. Everyone in this country can be part of the unfinished business of our revolution. Of course, the veterans of MKMVA have got a long history. We're proud of that history. We're proud of the battles that we have fought. We're proud of the history of how we worked outside the country in exile. I sat for 2 nights and spoke to other comrades about Angola, about Mozambique, about Swaziland, about Lesotho, what happened between us. We are proud of that, and it's part of our history that we share. But that's not the only part of the liberation struggle. Remember always that the heartbeat of the liberation struggle, the blood that goes through the veins of the liberation struggle at the end of the day, must be our young people. We have to transfer to our young people the history. We have to transfer to our young people what was important for us when we went into the struggle and what we wanted to achieve. Now, let me just say this. If we forget that in 1956, the Freedom Charter was adopted, and that Freedom Charter said, the people of South Africa shall share in the wealth of this country. We must transfer that to the young people.
I'm just going to have to hold you over there and just bring in Mr. Maphatsoe into the conversation. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am, and the viewers.
And now you have moved from chairperson to the president of the association. In this position, what can we expect from you in this position?
It's really to implement the resolutions of the conference and to make sure that we change the lives and of our own cadres of MKMVA. As we have resolved at the conference that I'm going to make sure that those resolutions are implemented as a newly elected president. Make sure that they get houses, make sure that their health is good, make sure that they also participate in the economy of our country.
And how do you react to the boycott called by MK Veterans Council, and now after winning the elective council, do you wish to reach out to them?
We have resolved, in fact, the president, when he addressed us at the beginning of the conference, advised us to say we must extend our hand, let's continue engaging those comrades, because our differences are not so big. It was just a difference of how do you constitute the conference. They wanted the conference to be constituted in a particular way that is not constitutional, aligned with our constitution. So we will arrange a meeting with them and try and speak with them. But at the conference, the people who attended the Nasraq meeting, majority of them were in attendance of the national conference, and they participated. In fact, some of them were begging me to say, can we really speak to other provinces to elect us so that we must be seen to be united? It was a good thing, but I can't influence the elections of the leadership.
And then, so what are the other key changes witnessed in the elective conference? Have the NEC members been increased?
Yes, we have now two deputy secretaries, the first and the second deputy secretaries, and we have increased our National Executive Committee now to 32 in order to accommodate generations. Just what Colonel was saying about people who are saying people who attended the conference were bogus delegates. In fact, Comrade Lindiwe Zulu was saying, yo, I'm very impressed in this conference. I have seen people that I once saw them in 1980s. I'm very impressed with this conference. So we also then have very serious resolutions about the radical socio-economic transformation. We want to make sure that these resolutions are implemented.
And looking at some of your priorities, which are the top priorities that you'll be looking at now that you're president?
Our priority is the welfare of the ex-combatants. We're going to make sure that we go aggressively, and we've agreed with the Treasurer General and the National Executive Committee that we grow aggressively. We're also bringing the expertise of comrades like Comrade Kalni Ausebe. He has been elected the National Executive Committee member of MKMVA. And we also have comrades of the June 16 in our National Executive Committee. So they are bringing a lot of expertise there. But we are making sure that we also play a role of unifying the African National Congress.
And now, President Jacob Zuma addressed the conference, and he asked that you need to be aware of the sporadic emergence of civil society groupings mobilized on the basis of hostile opinions against the ANC. What are your views on that?
We really agree with the president. And as soldiers, with this expertise of understanding the analysis or the balance of forces, we know that there's an agenda of regime change. So there's a formation of new NGOs, and there's a lot of money that is going into the hands of these NGOs in order to fight the government that's led by the African National Congress under the leadership of President Jacob Zuma. So we have engaged on some of the resolutions that how do we protect the African National Congress? How do we also defend the gains of this revolution, because it's about the regime change. So MKMVA cadres has got expertise.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me in studio and just giving me more details. That was President MKMVA, Maphatsoe, as well as Carl Niehaus, the NEC member of the MKMVA, just giving us more details as the chairperson, Maphatsoe, has been elected as president of the organization unopposed, and the organization, which held its elective conference in Boksburg this weekend, resolved to amend its constitution, doing away with the term chairperson for this post. And I'll move